Have you ever said something in anger that hurt the person you love the most, and later wished you could take those words back? What if I told you that anger doesn't destroy love, the way we handle it does? This is a story about two people who loved each other deeply, but almost lost everything because they didn't know how to control their anger. There was once a young couple, Ion and Sarah, who loved each other deeply. Their love story was beautiful in the beginning. They laughed together, shared dreams, and promised to always support each other. But something slowly started changing. Ion had a habit he never paid much attention to. He got angry very quickly. Sometimes it was small things. If Sarah was late to reply to his message, he would get upset. If she disagreed with him, his voice would become louder. At first, Sarah stayed quiet because she loved him and believed his anger would pass. One evening, they were sitting in a small cafe. Sarah gently told Ion that she felt hurt when he shouted during arguments. Instead of listening, Ion became angry again. His words came out harsh and sharp. Sarah didn't argue back. She simply became silent. For the first time, Ion noticed something different in her eyes. It wasn't anger. It was pain. That moment stayed in his mind the whole night. He realized something important. Anger was not just an emotion, it was a weapon that could damage the heart of the person he loved the most. The next day, Ion decided to understand his anger instead of letting it control him. He realized that most of his anger came from fear of losing Sarah, fear of not being understood, fear of things not going his way. His anger was simply a reaction to emotions he never learned to express calmly. So he began to change small things. Whenever he felt anger rising, he paused. Instead of speaking immediately, he took a deep breath. Sometimes he even stayed silent for a few seconds before responding. At first, it felt difficult. His emotions still rushed inside him like a storm. But slowly, those few seconds of pause started making a difference. One evening, Sarah disagreed with him again during a conversation. Normally, this would start an argument. But this time, Ion paused. He looked at her and asked softly, "Can you explain how you feel?" Sarah was surprised. For the first time, she felt heard instead of attacked. In that moment, Ion understood another powerful truth. Anger often disappears when we choose understanding over reaction. Their relationship slowly changed. Arguments didn't disappear completely, because no relationship is perfect. But now they handled them differently. Instead of shouting, they listened. Instead of reacting instantly, they gave each other space. Ion discovered something beautiful about love. Love doesn't mean never feeling angry. It means caring enough to control that anger so it doesn't hurt the person who means everything to you. And sometimes, the strongest proof of love is not the words we say when we are happy, but the patience we show when we are angry. In many relationships, anger is often misunderstood. People usually think anger is simply a reaction to something that annoys them, but in reality anger is often only the surface emotion. Beneath it, there are deeper feelings that remain hidden. These feelings can be pain, fear, disappointment, or the feeling of not being valued by the person we love. Imagine a young man named Ion who loved his partner deeply. Whenever something small went wrong between them, he reacted with anger. If she forgot to call him back, he felt irritated. If she cancelled a plan because she was busy, he became upset and raised his voice. From the outside, it looked like Ion had a serious anger problem. But the truth was more complicated than that. Inside his heart, Ion was not only angry. He was afraid. He feared that maybe he was not important enough to her. He feared that one day she might stop caring about him. Instead of expressing those fears honestly, his emotions came out as anger. Anger felt easier than admitting vulnerability. Many people behave this way in love. When someone feels ignored, they may not say, "I feel hurt that you didn't notice me." Instead, they say something harsh or become defensive. Anger becomes a shield that hides the real emotions underneath. His partner Sarah slowly started noticing this pattern. When Ion got angry, she didn't always respond with anger back. Sometimes she looked at him quietly and tried to understand what he was really feeling. She realized that his anger often appeared when he felt insecure or misunderstood. One evening, during a calm conversation, Sarah gently asked him a simple question. She said, "When you get angry like that, are you actually feeling hurt?" At first, Ion wanted to deny it. Anger had always been his automatic response. But when he thought about it honestly, he realized that many times he was not truly angry. He was simply feeling emotional pain that he didn't know how to express. Understanding this changed something inside him. He began to notice the moment when anger started rising in his chest. Instead of immediately reacting, he tried to ask himself what emotion was hiding behind it. Sometimes it was fear of losing the person he loved. Sometimes it was the pain of feeling unappreciated. Sometimes it was frustration because he didn't feel understood. By recognizing these deeper emotions, Ion slowly started seeing his anger differently. It was no longer just an explosion of emotion but a signal that something deeper inside his heart needed attention. In every love story, words play a powerful role. Words can make someone feel valued, safe, and deeply loved. But the same words, when spoken in anger, can also cause deep emotional wounds. Many people do not realize how much damage a few angry words can create in a relationship. Ion loved Sarah with all his heart, but he never truly understood the power of his words when he was angry. Whenever they had an argument, his emotions would rise quickly. His voice would become louder, and he would say things without thinking about how those words might affect Sarah. Sometimes he would say things like, "You never understand me," or, "You don't care about this relationship." In those moments, Ion believed he was simply expressing his frustration. But Sarah heard something very different. She heard accusations, disappointment, and rejection. Every time those words were spoken, they left a small mark on her heart. Sarah rarely shouted back. Instead, she often became quiet. Her silence was not because she had nothing to say. It was because she was trying to protect her feelings from being hurt even more. Inside, she felt sadness because the person she loved the most was also the person whose words hurt her the deepest. One evening, during another argument, Ion said something harsh without thinking. The room suddenly became silent. Sarah looked at him with tears in her eyes and softly said, "Do you realize how much your words hurt me when you speak like that?" For the first time, Ion truly paused and looked at her face. He saw the pain that his anger had caused. In that moment he understood something important. Words spoken in anger may only last a few seconds, but the emotional impact can remain in someone's heart for a very long time. He began remembering all the times he had spoken without thinking. Moments when his anger controlled his voice. Moments when he said things he never truly meant. Ion realized that anger often pushes people to say extreme things. When emotions become intense, the mind focuses on winning the argument rather than protecting the relationship. Harsh words may feel powerful in the moment, but they slowly weaken the trust and emotional safety between two people who love each other. After that realization, Ion started paying attention to his words during difficult conversations. He noticed how easily anger could turn normal sentences into hurtful ones. Instead of speaking immediately, he began trying to slow down his reactions and choose his words more carefully. In many relationships, arguments do not begin because two people hate each other. Most arguments begin because emotions move faster than understanding. When someone feels hurt or misunderstood, the natural reaction is to respond immediately. Words come out quickly, voices rise, and a small disagreement suddenly becomes a painful conflict. Often, the problem is not the situation itself but the speed of the reaction. Ion had always reacted instantly whenever he felt upset. If Sarah said something he didn't agree with, he responded immediately. If she pointed out something that bothered her, he felt attacked and defended himself right away. His reactions were quick and emotional, leaving little space for understanding. One evening, they had planned to meet after a long day. Sarah arrived late because she was stuck in unexpected work. When she finally came, Ion was already frustrated. As soon as she sat down, he started expressing his anger. His words came out quickly, filled with irritation. Sarah tried to explain the situation, but the conversation was already turning into an argument. Later that night, when Ion was alone, he thought about what had happened. He realized something simple but powerful. If he had waited just a few moments before reacting, the entire situation might have been different. Sarah would have had the chance to explain calmly, and he might have understood her situation instead of assuming the worst. From that moment, Ion decided to practice something new. Whenever he felt anger rising, he would pause before speaking. At first, it felt uncomfortable. His mind wanted to react immediately, just like it always had. But he forced himself to stay silent for a few seconds. During that pause, something interesting started happening. His emotions slowly became less intense. The anger that felt overwhelming at first began to settle slightly. In those few quiet moments, he could think more clearly. One day, Sarah expressed frustration about something he had done. The old Ion would have defended himself instantly. But this time, he paused. He took a deep breath and stayed silent for a moment. Instead of reacting with anger, he simply listened to what she was saying. Sarah noticed the difference immediately. The conversation felt calmer, and the tension that usually filled the room was not there. Those small pauses began to change the way they handled disagreements. Arguments became discussions, and emotional reactions slowly turned into thoughtful responses. Ion discovered that sometimes a few seconds of silence can protect a relationship from words that cannot be taken back. In many relationships, anger grows when two people stop trying to understand each other's feelings. Instead of listening with patience, they focus only on defending themselves. When this happens, both partners feel misunderstood, and frustration begins to rise. Often, the real problem is not the situation itself but the lack of emotional understanding between two people who care about each other. Ion and Sarah loved each other deeply, but there were times when their conversations turned into arguments simply because they were not truly listening to each other's feelings. When Sarah tried to explain something that bothered her, Ion often felt like she was criticizing him. His first reaction was to defend himself or become angry. From his perspective, he believed he was protecting himself. But from Sarah's perspective, it felt like her emotions were being ignored. One evening, Sarah told Ion that she sometimes felt lonely even when they were together. She explained that when he spent most of his time on his phone or seemed distracted, it made her feel unimportant. She wasn't blaming him, she was simply sharing how she felt. But Ion immediately became defensive. He responded by saying that he was busy and that she was overthinking the situation. His voice carried frustration, and the conversation quickly turned tense. Later that night, Ion reflected on what had happened. He remembered the sadness in Sarah's voice when she said she felt lonely. He realized that instead of trying to understand her feelings, he had focused only on protecting himself from criticism. This realization made him see something clearly. When someone we love expresses their feelings, they are not always trying to start an argument. Often, they are simply asking to be understood. The next time Sarah shared something emotional with him, Ion tried a different approach. Instead of interrupting or defending himself, he listened carefully. He paid attention not only to her words but also to the emotions behind them. He noticed the vulnerability in her voice and the honesty in her expression. For the first time, he responded with empathy instead of anger. He told her that he understood why she might feel that way and that her feelings mattered to him. Sarah felt a sense of relief because she was finally being heard. As Ion continued practicing this habit of understanding her emotions, their arguments became less frequent. Many situations that once created anger now turned into calm conversations because both of them felt emotionally respected and valued. In every relationship, there are moments when emotions become intense. Disagreements happen, misunderstandings appear, and sometimes both people feel frustrated at the same time. Anger can easily enter these moments and take control of the situation. When anger becomes the dominant response, love slowly begins to feel heavy and exhausting. But when patience takes the place of anger, the entire atmosphere of the relationship begins to change. Ion and Sarah experienced many situations where anger could have easily created distance between them. In the past, whenever something went wrong, Ion reacted quickly and emotionally. His frustration often appeared before he even tried to understand the situation. This pattern created tension between them, even though they both cared deeply about each other. After realizing how much his anger affected Sarah, Ion began practicing patience in their daily interactions. At first, patience felt difficult. His emotions still reacted quickly inside him, but he started reminding himself that protecting their relationship was more important than winning an argument. One afternoon, Sarah accidentally forgot an important plan they had made together. In the past, Ion would have reacted immediately with irritation and sharp words. His disappointment would have quickly turned into anger. But this time, he paused and looked at Sarah. She seemed tired and overwhelmed from a long day. Instead of reacting with frustration, he chose to respond with calmness. He asked her gently if everything was okay. Sarah explained that she had been dealing with several stressful things during the day and had completely forgotten about the plan. Her voice carried guilt and exhaustion. When Ion listened patiently, he realized that her mistake was not a sign of carelessness or lack of love. It was simply the result of a difficult day. That moment showed him how powerful patience could be. If he had reacted with anger, the evening would have turned into another argument. Instead, his patience allowed them to talk calmly and support each other. Sarah felt safe sharing her feelings, and Ion felt proud that he had handled the situation differently. Over time, patience became a quiet strength in their relationship. It allowed them to slow down their reactions, understand each other more deeply, and create a space where both of them felt respected and valued. Their love did not become perfect, but it became stronger because they learned that patience protects love in moments when anger tries to take control.